One thing about living in Santa Clara I could never stomach, all the damn vampires.
Hello and welcome to the final podcast, the last podcast you'll ever listen to.
Your final bros are here. It's Brian Hopper Grossa and Shane the Wheelbarrow Smith. And this is it, ladies and gentlemen. This is the culmination of our first retro reel. It's sad to say it's going to end after this week, but we do have a very special show today. We are discussing the 1987 Joel Schumacher smash hit, Lost Boys.
Now, Joel Schumacher, most of you will know him from his big hits like Batman Forever and Batman and Robin with Mr. Freeze.
The classics.
Yes.
And then you sprinkle in a little phone booth.
Yes. Yes, all those.
He is the definition of hit and miss. Like, if you go through Joel Schumacher's filmography, he's got some winners, for sure. I also think he did some music videos.
Let's see. You got Blood Creek, Lost Boys, obviously.
Blood Creek.
Bad Company, Tigerland.
Bad Company, that's a pretty known movie. Blood Creek is also...
He did 8mm.
He also shot a Smashing Pumpkins music video.
The end is the beginning.
A Time to Kill.
Because the end is the beginning is the end.
It's for Batman Forever.
Yep. A Time to Kill? Wow, I didn't know he did that.
He was a director in that.
Wow, he is awesome.
Batman Forever? Wow, he's maybe more hit than miss than I thought.
It's really, like, what ruined his career was the Batman and Robin with Mr. Freeze.
I mean, it wasn't great. He did Batman Forever, though, which was really solid.
Yeah. He also directed 2 episodes of House of Cards.
Yes, he
did. Was this his first feature-length film, Matt, or no?
I'm also checking now because I was actually looking him up.
Because I feel like this movie's a little out of...
Oh, no, he did St. Elmo's Fire.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's a classic. That's also some 80s heat of a different genre. But...
Oh, Brian, but do you want to know what other movie this Joel Schumacher directed? The Number 23.
Wow.
Oh, yeah.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
And he also directed The Phantom of the Opera as well. I mean, it's not a horror movie, but still.
Yeah, this guy is...
I actually kind of like that movie.
He's all over the place. Very interesting. So, obviously, The Lost Boys is just a classic movie of the 80s. Like, literally, like, everyone likes this movie.
Yeah.
Like, no one talks bad about The Lost Boys.
No, I think it's because it's just like a good teen horror film. It definitely throws some interesting vampire curveballs. Like,
yes.
But yeah, I think it's just because it's got like the 80s flair for sure. It's got a cool like West Coast vibe going on as well, because it's all like on the shore and like on the pier that it takes place, and it adds like some cool elements with like vampires running the entire town. But I mean, I think that the magic of this movie is just that it's like a soft comedy with that like teen supernatural element that was kind of blossoming at this time.
Yeah.
Because then you know it's got like that. You start getting movies like Fright Night, or actually Fright Night might have came before this or around the same time. But like Monster Squad, and then those have grown to, you know, like the Twilights that you see nowadays, and like those other teen horror films.
This is like kind of like one of the earliest forms of that kind of movie.
Yeah.
It like kind of almost started it. It tells a very interesting story about vampires. It has very good characters. It launches some people's careers, like Kiefer Sutherland.
Yeah.
It kind of rockets him into stardom.
I think Corey Feldman was probably in other stuff before this, but I feel like he was still really young, so this might have helped him.
Corey Feldman did Friday before this.
Yeah, that definitely came out before this. Because this was like 87.
Yeah, I think that Friday might have been 84-ish.
Yeah, that's about right.
So, I mean, it's a big movie. Yeah, big cast.
Corey Haim, too, because Corey Haim, who plays Sam in this movie, I know he was in like some other horror movies around the time, too, and some other stuff, but like definitely helped him. Dianne Wiest was Dianne Wiest.
Yep.
And Jason Patric, I honestly, like, I know he's not in a ton of stuff. I know he's, you know, Sprinkles and stuff. I think this is like the movie that put him on the map too.
Yeah, it's a big launching point for a lot of people. So let's talk about these people. Let's talk about Joel Schumacher, and let's talk about the end of Retro Reel as we jump into the Spooky Pit.
The Lost Boys, released in 1987, directed by Joel Schumacher, vamping out in Santa Clara, the murder capital of the world. Stars Jason Patric as Michael, Corey Haim as Sam, Dianne Wiest as Lucy, Barnard Hughes as Grandpa, Edward Herman as Max, Kiefer Sutherland as David, Jamie Gertz as Star, and Corey Feldman as Edgar Frog.
The Frog Twins.
The Frog Bros are pretty great. I'm not gonna lie.
They definitely are.
Yeah, like the Corey Feldman's character, I love. He's actually was inspiration for me to wear headbands, which is maybe something you didn't know.
I didn't know that, actually.
Yeah, this is like one of those nostalgic movies for me, like where people talk about like 80s movies like The Goonies and like these movies that they watch. Gremlins is another one where you watch it as a kid and you're like, it always sticks with you. I kind of have that same feel for this movie because I watched it when I was young, and I always kind of like go back to it time and time again when I want to put a smile on my face, because nothing does that more than eating worm noodles.
Oh, worm noodles? Yeah, or was it maggot rice? Is the other
couple of little maggot sticky rice?
Yeah. All right, so let's paint a picture here for everyone first. We got Corey Haim and his mom, Dianne Wiest. They're traveling out to Santa Clara. They're moving in with Grandpa.
Yeah, I think, Michael, the fam, they're all going to the... It looks like they were coming from Arizona. The only reason I know that is because it said it on the box.
Yes.
On the cart.
So the three of them are moving with Grandpa here and to his house in Santa Clara. And let's just say Grandpa's house, it's got some questionable skulls.
Yeah, like he says, it looks like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Yeah.
It's got like antlers, bones, specimens. It's got boppers.
I love me some boppers. I've been saying it for years. We got to bring back boppers.
He also wears a headband too. Literally, it's great fanfare there.
Yeah.
I will also mention, they do move over to Santa Clara, which they see a bunch of signs as they're driving in for missing kids. Which is definitely a red flag. It's also been graffitied as the murder capital of the world.
Never good. Never want to move there.
Nope.
That's basically modern day Chicago.
That's a fact. And the movie opens, it's like a soft open.
Yeah.
But like it opens with like Kiefer Sutherland and the crew, calling them the crew. They're like going on the pier and they're like honestly touching girls on the merry-go-round.
They're getting a little handsy. Very 80s of them.
Doesn't like is there like park security that like shoos them away or something? I don't really think there's anything else that happened.
No, that's why I guess it's important to mention them, but nothing really happens in that opening.
I just think it gives you like a precursor to like these guys are going to be running the show without consequence.
Yeah. I mean, Michael wants to eventually take a part because Michael's a cool guy. He's cool.
He's the definition of what we classified as the 80s brooding bad boy.
Yes. And he's so cool. He wants to pick up the hot girl at the pier. He wants to pick up Star.
Yeah. So he sees, so basically, I guess they just go to the pier, the boardwalk, and like there's a concert, I guess, happening.
Can we talk about fucking oiled up sexy sax man?
Tim Capello, definitely made famous for this movie in a song, I Still Believe, which I often has played in League of Legends when I was down in games. I
still believe.
It's pretty epic. In the sense that while he's so oiled up and you see him perform almost the entire song, he, meaning Michael, is fucking Star.
Yeah. Like he's got the hots for he actually I think this is love at first sight.
Yeah, it is. He is like brooding hardcore, the hardcore stare. She's super into the oiled up saxman. How can
you not? Do you see the chains around his neck?
He's got legitimate junkyard chains
around his neck.
It's kind of nuts.
He is literally the definition of a beefcake.
He's a meat castle for sure.
Oh my god. If I was a girl, I'd fuck him.
He's got so many chains. He's got so much oil on him. You don't even notice the chains, but there are definitely chains around his neck.
Is he a vampire?
Who knows? He might very well be. People are going nuts. There's bonfires. Star's actually looking back. She notices him.
Yeah.
She sees him. He does that very sexual smile. She runs away.
He's
chasing her. This is all kind of a ploy.
It is.
It's kind of a trap, but
it's interesting because this is like the 80s, right? So you could stare at a girl, she could look back at you and then run away, And you're justified for chasing her.
Yeah, like that's
you like physically chasing after her. Like that's how people met in the 80s.
Yeah.
Nowadays, that's a crime.
It's 100% a crime. It's very interesting because at the same time, Dianne Wiest's character is walking around the pier. She's looking at stores because she's looking for a job.
Yes.
She expresses very motherly qualities by looking over a missing boy. Knowing how this movie goes, it totally makes sense when Kiefer Sutherland's crew walks into the video shop, the very popular video shop that Max owns.
Yes. And Dianne Wiest is going to talk to Max and Lucy, and she is going to be offered a job, right? Like right on the spot.
I just moved here. I am a good motherly figure. Look, this kid now I found his mother, and now I need a job. Man, you can really wear anything in this decade.
Right? There was no rules.
Holy shit.
These outfits are actually crazy.
Is this just California or is this just like the time?
Actually, this is definitely California because we've seen enough 80s movies that 80s had weird attire, but this is a little excessive.
They have dangling. Everyone of them has a dangling earring.
Oh, well, so if there's one thing I know about California, they actually call them danglies.
Do they really?
Yeah. It's the hip slang. So you don't say you have an earring, you have a dangly.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, honestly, this you may not know yet storyline wise, but this crew of characters here, Kiefer Sutherland and the crew, they're vampires.
Yeah.
It's interesting because Max's dog does bark at them. It's almost sensing the evil.
Yeah, now, can we also talk about how oversized Max's clothes are?
Yeah, can we talk about his shoulders? Does he have shoulder pads on?
Okay, so that was what I was wondering. Because there's no way that's his shoulders. His shoulders aren't that broad, right?
True.
It's not me trying on a suit, where I have these, really broad shoulders. It's it's crazy.
They're flirting, Mom and Max, and as well as offering her a job without really giving her an in-depth interview, if I'm being honest.
Yeah, there was no interview. She just gets the job, right?
Yeah, it's kind of how that went, really. And then you do see Star walking around with another kid.
Yeah.
What's she doing with that kid? And then you get some cool characters that are coming up because Sam, who's Michael's brother, is going to walk into
the record store.
The record store. And there's literally
comic book store, actually.
It's a comic book store because he's really big into the comics. He's talking to the Frog Brothers. The Frog Brothers are very big and very outspoken vampire hunters. You definitely will. Why that is so upfront is to be seen.
It makes sense at the context that everyone just kind of knows there's vampires that we find out at the end. But they're just we hunt vampires in our spare time.
Yeah, they're very pro-Americana. It's very 80s. It's very we see a vamp, it's an undead, we're going to eradicate the vamp.
Yeah. Honestly, I feel like Corey Feldman is getting ready for Nam.
Yeah, he looks like a Nam vet. He does.
He, literally is dressed like a Nam vet.
This kid is he can't be more than 14 years old, right?
No.
He's super young. I think he actually gives him a vampire comic.
He does. Yeah, here. And so they're going to blossom into a beautiful friendship. I mean, eventually the two Coreys are going to go on to have that reality show, The Two Coreys.
That's fucking crazy. That's a thing.
Yeah. And then sadly, obviously, Corey Haim is the one who had passed away.
Yeah.
But in this, they are going to have a nice friendship here where they are going to eventually hunt vampires together.
Yeah, this is going to be the vampire crew. And I love the commitment of the Frog Brothers in the suspecting of the vamp justifies the murder.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, if you're a vamp, murder. We don't have to test it. Just get murdered first.
Just stake him first.
Stake first, questions later.
That's a fact.
So let's talk about Michael. He's going to be following Star. They're going to start talking. It almost looks like she's going to go with him until... I forgot. David.
She's going to hop on the back of David's bike.
Yeah, and she's going to take off with David... And Michael's going to follow because he's going to challenge Michael to a race to the something, right?
Race off the cliff, I call it.
Yes. So they're going to have a race off.
Who's going to back down first?
And Michael obviously backs down first because at this point, Michael is still human. He is not a vampire. But Michael is going to follow them to the cave. What is this place where they go to eat Chinese
ramen?
Food? Yeah.
This is the vampire lair. This is where the vamps vamp out. This is a coffin.
Yeah.
Technically. Like, this is underneath Santa Clara. This is underneath a sand dune or something. Like, it is a legitimate, it's their coffin. This is where they hang from the ceiling and go to bed at night.
Yeah. So you would just want to be here just vamping out? Like, would you vamp out here if you were a vamp?
Yeah, of course. You know how many dead bodies are in this place? You would vamp out. The place probably really honestly fucking reeks. It has to.
It has to. Well, that's why I'm questioning why Michael is so willing to drink the red viscous fluid.
Yeah.
That, like, Gangrel would spit out during a WWE match. Like, he is so willing to just consume this into his body.
It's so clearly blood. And I'm thinking, like, why is Star here? So you do know they're vampires at this point.
Yes.
They actually do kill a couple. They actually just tear them, like, away from each other. I do like how this place is full of, like, different, like, dream catchers and candles
pigeons
and Jim Morrison posters.
Yes.
It's kind of wild.
All of it. So wait, Star isn't a vampire though, right?
So at this point in time, she's technically in the same boat as Michael, where she is transitioning into a vampire, but she has to basically, they let you know this later on. It's like one of the, like, not like big twist moments, but it is, she's like needs to feed.
Yes.
And she needs to, like, and like the whole point was, like, Michael was going to be that for her. That's why they're like, it was going to be her first time to feed. And that's why she was kind of like luring him, but she does kind of like him.
Which is why she doesn't.
Yes, exactly. But there's a secondary plot underneath that, which you don't find out until the very end with the big twist with Max. But there's a reason why David wants to transition Michael, why he even gives him, because I'm thinking, like, if he's going to be fed, like, why is he, who Michael clearly likes his girl, why is he not killing him?
Right.
Like, he doesn't. And I'm always, when I was wondering is, I'm like, why is he not just immediately tearing this guy to shreds?
And you're right. It is revealed at the end when Max is talking about
there's like an ulterior motive
to it all. All right. So we're going to come back to the next day. He's gonna, the younger brother's going to wake up in his bed. Everything's going to be normal. He's reading his comic. Michael, on the other hand, is going to wake up right with no recollection of what had happened the night prior.
Yeah, and he's going to be in a state where he's just very confused. And I don't know if it was the blood jar that he drank, or maybe it was the worms and the
maggot rice.
Maggot rice.
Or the other part, which does happen that night, right, where they hang from the fucking railroad bridge?
Yeah, they hang from the railroad bridge. They try to get Michael, because Michael's like with David and the boys, and they're trying to get him to that point now that he's starting to vamp. So he's like, technically, you don't know Jamie Gertz or Star's there yet, but he's at that point where, like, he's going to transition to a vampire. He would have to feed at some point because he's going to be really hungry. But they're showing them how, just like, what a vampire looks like. They're jumping off of the bridge.
Yes.
But they're going to be jumping and hanging.
Yes. And, like, this is kind of sick because the train then comes and it starts to shake it, and they all start to fall one after another. And Michael's the last one to fall, and he falls and wakes up in his bed, right? There's like, that's the transition, I believe.
Yeah, he like falls into his bed. This is what happens when you fall from the sky and into your cozy bed.
Yeah. So how does that happen? What is going on there? I guess it's just kind of like blacking out during the transition from human to vampire.
Yeah. I think he blacks out here. I'm assuming that. I'm assuming these guys that they know how to fly, so like they're going to like
catch him.
He's going to catch him. Yeah. But yeah, he blacks out after this. He probably just faints or something.
I love the floating scenes in this movie as they like progress.
Cool. They're cool. Yeah. And I do like how, like, the very next day, like, he randomly comes home after an all-nighter looking like Jim Morrison.
There's a lot of Jim Morrison ties. Was Jim Morrison a vampire?
He was the Lizard King.
The Lizard King. Was that his actual nickname?
That was a nickname for him. One of the many.
The Lizard King. He would have been really good friends with Mark Zuckerberg.
Nice. Okay, so, yeah, he's going to come home, and his brother is going to be, like, very suspecting of him. And it's kind of weird how it's explained, but he kind of, like, there's a tip-off immediately that he's a
vampire. Is it that he doesn't see his own reflection?
That is the tip-off.
Yeah.
Like, the fact that,
that's what I thought, yeah.
His reflection is that he's like this silvery film.
Yeah. And you just, there's no reflection there anymore. So, this is when the brother, right? He goes into the bathtub. He's taking a bath. but the dog is trying to warn him that his brother is turning into a vampire, and he's going through it. The dog attacks him,
and
stops him from doing anything.
Yep.
And the brother's going to run upstairs and hide in his bedroom because he figures out he's a vampire because he doesn't see his reflection.
Correct. They're both looking at it, and he's like, it's like silvery film.
Yeah, that's bad. That's a real issue. So he's going to hide in his room, but Michael's going to do this really cool thing that I thought only Brian could do, which is float.
I wish I could float like Michael here. Michael can really float. He's gonna float up. He's gonna float out. He's gonna be hanging out like by his window. He's gonna be hanging onto the sill of the window.
Now, like if he didn't grab onto the sill of the window, would he have just floated away?
Honestly,
because he's having some trouble controlling the float.
Yeah, and if I'm not mistaken, also like the brother's now like on the phone with mom.
Yes.
And mom is like getting ready to go on a date with Max.
Yeah, and he's begging her to come back.
And Michael's actually holding on also not only to the phone, because he's also was talking to his mom, like basically saying like everything is fine. I don't know what he's talking about. Like everything is good.
She's in a panic, so she's gonna come home because she just hears shouting.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's the next day, right, that he's gonna go and consult the Frog Bros about like how to deal with this, and Corey Feldman's like, we have to kill your brother.
Yeah, it's fucking hilarious.
Like, your brother, like, we got to kill him. It's the only option.
So, yeah, so Sam is, like, conflicted because it's, like, it's his brother, but, like, I think the Frog Bros have talked to him about, like, vampires being evil and the concern, like, how they're all over the town that you need to stake your brother. But he's like, dude, Sammy, like, I'm your brother. I have not done anything yet. I'm, like, this is new for me. Mm-hmm. So, like, he, like, kind of is understanding to his brother at this point in time. He's not pulled the trigger on the murder yet, which makes that scene funny.
Yes.
But when Dianne Wiest character, Lucy, comes back, he basically writes it off that, oh no, it was just a vampire comic book I read. It was super scary. Mom, sorry about losing your date with your boss.
Well, she's going to try another date where she's going to invite Max to the house. And that date is going to go over not so well.
No. That's an interesting date because not only is Max being invited, but little does Lucy know, poor Lucy, so sweet. The Frog Brothers are also coming.
Yes. And so we're having this big dinner where they're trying to figure out if Max is the head vampire. Because the idea is you kill the head vampire, all the vampires under him will go back to normal.
And it makes sense.
It does.
Who is Max? He randomly comes into their life. Like, you kill the head of the pack, the rest of the pack falls. We'll see this in the future with Wolves of Wall Street.
Yes. It's true. It's just classic lore of vampires and wolves. You kill the leader, the pack folds.
So while this is all going on, Michael's going to decide to go randomly up into the vampire lair and have a very 80s steamy sex scene with Star.
Yeah, she's all about this.
So this was the part where she was supposed to feed on him. It just doesn't happen.
Instead, she feeds on that dick.
Yeah, she falls in love. Like, they're both loving this.
Yeah. Well, if there's one thing I know about vampires and werewolves, they are exceptionally horny.
Yeah, I'm actually going to go as far as to say I think this is passion bump worthy.
Passion bump.
And
Passion bump. Passion bump.
like, I like how they like show like the soaring through the sky. Am I supposed to like understand? Are they soaring, or is it someone else? Or is this just like cinematography?
I think they're soaring.
Are they soaring? Do
this
they have
is
that
like
power?
I think they're banging in the clouds.
They're banging in the clouds. That makes sense.
It's a beautiful moment.
They both are going to be going very hungry because they have not really
fed.
Yeah.
Now, can they take the Twilight route and start feeding on deer? Maybe, but
look at where they are. They're literally on the rocks in the lair. Like,
I know.
You know, so now looking at this, I actually don't even think it was them. I think it was David and crew that was
coming back.
Or was it them? No, maybe it was them.
Yeah, it might have been them.
I don't know. But yeah, this is an interesting scene because like he realizes that like his wounds are healing.
Yeah.
He's transforming, but he does kind of go back again with the glasses, making him look like a fucking rock star. But he's going through it still. He talks to his mom. He's very like, I feel like they treat their mom like shit. And it's not fair.
Okay. So I feel bad for her because she just wants to find a connection and they're like really hindering it. It makes sense.
They're kids
because
they're at that age. Crazy
kids. One's a vampire, so they're gonna try to go to Max's house during the day, but the Hellhound is gonna be protecting Max because Max is clearly sleeping in a coffin at this point in time.
Yeah, no, 100%. I think that's a good call out. What we should also mention is that when Max came over to their house, I kind of skipped this part.
Yeah.
I think it's really big to call out that they gave him like the vampire. They needed to go through the checklist.
Yes.
Because they had the Frog Brothers on site. So they were prepared with a lot of different things. Michael, before he left to bang Star, in a very steamy sex scene, which we just talked about. Very steamy, Shane. He's like, you're going to invite me in? He invites him in. Which is very odd from someone that would mention it, with the whole vampire thing. But he invites him in, right? And then Michael leaves. And then when he's there, they go through a bunch of different things.
Yes.
They give him cheese. He's like, I love cheese. And then he's like, oh, this ain't cheese. This is garlic. And then...
he does say it that way.
He's fine.
Yes, he is.
He's not... He's just coughing on it because they gave him so much. Because I love it. Because they're like, oh my God, you're choking on garlic. You're choking. He's like, no, I love it. It's just too much of it.
Yeah.
Which makes sense because they literally just dumped it like it was fucking
grated
cheese. And then the second check was they had him look up into his own reflection. They splashed holy water on him. He was fine.
Yes.
They then made him look in his mirror for a reflection really quickly, really ruining this date for his mom. And they saw his reflection.
Mm-hmm.
So he passed all the checks, ruined the date, and he's like, we're going to try this one more time. And then I just wanted to fill in that context for when you go into this.
And then I'm going to fill in a little bit more context real quick. It's just the fact that this is all allowed to happen and he isn't affected because he was invited in. This plays by two rules. One is the classic vampire trope that if you're invited, you can't come into a home unless you were invited in. But then it adds its own trope, which if you're invited in, you are not affected by these things. And I think that's what it plays off. It plays off the fact that he wants to be portrayed as human, which is why he won't come in unless he's invited in.
Yeah.
Because I think he has an idea that they have an idea.
Oh, I think so as well. I don't know what kind of reputation the Frog Brothers have as vampires, serious vampire hunters. Because I'll tell you what, Corey Feldman's trigger, he pulls it quick.
He has a fast trigger finger. He wants to stake anything and everyone.
It's I love his character so much. I can't lie. He's so funny. That is the big twist, like to say it. Like Max is kind of the guy. You'll find out later, but yeah, so he was made sure he was properly invited in, and the cool trope is that he acted completely human beyond the threshold of their home.
Yes. So now the new idea is they're going to find the lair of the David and his crew, and they're going to stop them first. So they go to a church, they get a bunch of holy water, they fill all that up, they're getting everything set up. It's just, they all go though, right? To stake them. It's like Michael, it's Sam, it's the Frog Bros, all of them go.
Yeah, and like Michael is actually at this
feast,
point in time, this is where he's supposed to be feasting. So they take him, there's people hanging out. He's like, oh, we're just going to hang out. But the reality is he's watching David and crew completely kill all these people on the beach. In the murder capital of the world with vampires running around, it's crazy that people would be on the beach, like just willy-nilly.
Yes.
But they're going to completely tear these people to shreds. He was supposed to also feed on these people.
But he refuses to do it because he's a good guy.
And he was hanging out in the safe tree.
The safe tree. Yes. So now we got a vampire hunt. Let's start slaying vampires, right?
Yeah. It's that time. This is an invasion.
Yes. So I think Sam also meets Star at this point too, right? Like Michael introduces, he's like, this is Star. This is my semi-girlfriend, vampire bitch. And we gotta help her too.
Well, the thing is like she comes into the house.
Yeah.
Before they go on the hunt. And this is where he finds out that, like, before I liked you, I tried to, like, warn you, and they find out she was also a vampire. The wine wasn't wine, it was blood.
Yeah.
They're talking through it, drank David's blood, so he actually drank the vampire's blood.
Yes. And Sam's commentary in the background, he's like, you're drinking blood? Are you crazy?
It's honestly, after everything he's just spitting out, but...
Because he has a lot of good points. It's like, why did Michael literally do any of this or follow these people or do...
It's fair. He was definitely, like, really like love
He
struck.
was literally trapped in by an attractive woman.
Yeah, and she like feels really guilty about it, but she's been basically saying to him, "You were supposed to be my first. You were supposed to be the one that kind of like sired me. That's what David was calling for." Reality, we find out that's not really what was going to happen.
Right.
I think David maybe intended that initially, but some things happened with Max. We'll explain about like the whole idea was then essentially David needed to make Michael a vampire.
Yes.
But now that they're in this tangled web of love story and they're having trouble feeding because they're both vampires.
Yeah.
So that's when they come up with the solution of like, we need to kill the head vampire. We're going to go on the
Which
invasion.
now they assume is David.
Correct. Now they assume it's David because Max has been rooted out.
Yes.
As like a non-factor.
All right, so let's go kill David. We're going to go into the mines. We got, like I said, they pack up the holy water. They pack up the stakes. We're going in the mines.
I actually thought the scene was really cool.
It's
because
awesome.
They're like surfing through the mines. This is their first time that they're in there.
And they see them all hanging upside down, sleeping.
It's really creepy. And he takes the one guy that's probably dressed the weirdest. In the order of like the one they think would be the head vampire, he's absolutely the last one I would choose.
Yes, but I think they were just going to stake them all in order.
Yeah, the thing is, first of all, this looks like a couple of Jenga sticks put together. It doesn't even look like a sharp stake. Look at the end of that stake.
They do get a kill though.
Is vampire flesh weak? Because
Yes. Okay. So if it's accurate to most, vampire flesh is very susceptible to have things go through it.
like maybe not as much as a zombie.
Yeah.
Like a zombie's like literally just like a bag of blood.
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure vampires are very easy. I think wooden stakes are very easy to be driven through.
Yeah. So this goes right through his heart very, very easily. And Edgar Frog is no joke.
No,
He literally went and staked.
we have proven he has a vampire kill. I mean, vampire blood is going to leak all over his face and head, and it's gooey and black.
I actually really like this scene because like I feel like this from like a vampire movie perspective, you kill a vampire, it's usually not as like explosive as this.
Yeah.
Like you get the whole ones like in like 30 Days a Night where the sun like deteriorates them, but this is more of like disgusting oil goo that's coming out
Yes,
of him.
the vampire is essentially melting in front of our
Because that's
faces.
not blood. He's
No.
like legitimately melting.
It's grade A maximum overdrive diesel fuel.
That's a fact. But the thing is now it wakes literally all the other vampires.
Yes. And now they have problems because the vampires are all still alive and they need to get back and they all know where they live.
Yeah, 100%.
So this is a big issue.
Yep. Yeah, so they're going to be like, this is going to be a war.
Yeah.
They need to get them killed.
Yeah. So they just go back to the house, right?
Oh, yeah.
And they're starting to like, I guess, prepare. They try to warn the mom, but the mom ain't buying any of it.
No. Oh, she's not buying the whole vampire spiel. She probably should have talked to her father a little bit. I'm surprised her father didn't like leak that information, but we'll get to that later.
Well, they booby trap now the whole house. They do a garlic tub with holy water.
They need to prepare. The Frog Brothers are here. They're in business. They got the holy water squirt guns.
From Dusk Till Dawn, I love holy water guns. The idea is genius.
Yeah.
It's such a good defense when you think about it because it's an accurate way of squirting holy water at someone.
Yeah, now the invasion is gonna the invasion kind of backfired.
Yeah.
Now they know they're coming for them. So Michael and Star are also hunkering down. Thing is, Star also has another little boy with her.
Yes.
It was one of the missing kids posters she saw in the beginning. So that's the one that was with Star. It is a missing kid named Laddie.
Yes. So she has ulterior motives of who she's trying to protect, and let's get to it. The vampires are not going to be invited in. They're going to burst in, which is why I think they're able to keep their powers and the continuity of how vampires work in this universe.
Yeah, they were consistent with the logic of the vampires. Like I didn't see any consistency errors. It's just an interesting approach they took about like being invited and then like being functional versus like now that you're a vampire rules apply, and you're gonna see that in a minute when they crash the house.
Literally crash through the house.
Oh yeah.
While Max is at dinner with Lucy, right?
Yeah, they're at Max's house, aren't they?
That's where they are. You're right, because the dog is there.
Yeah.
So they're at Max's house. They're going to start fighting vampires. They're going to get right away. They throw one in the tub.
Yeah.
And he melts. And like, this is such a cool scene where like all the faucets start shooting that
Goo. Yeah.
unfiltered grade A diesel maximum overdrive fuel.
It actually looks so brown.
Yeah.
It looks like New Jersey water.
Ooh. You're not wrong though. Oh, no, I forgot how the other. I know how Max gets killed. How does the other vampire get killed? Because one is in the tub. Do they just stake one through the heart with his own cane?
So I think there is a staking.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure there is a staking. There's the holy water bath. I'm looking for the staking.
Because I know how Michael gets killed. Not Michael, sorry. David
Max.
gets killed. Because
I know David gets killed as well.
David gets thrown through the the antlers, right?
Yes, he gets, and then you see the antlers, and because when they
Yeah.
go through the house, and it looks like a scene out of Texas Chainsaw. That's the scene that David gets thrown onto there. That's a cool battle.
That is a really cool battle.
Oh, this is the
It's the holy water.
He
Okay.
does squirt the holy water gun into this guy's face.
And then that guy melts and dies.
Melts his face off. Yeah.
Okay. So then Michael and David have their big fight, their big final confrontation.
So, like, of all the vampires, like, this is nowhere probably like the vampire logic is good in this movie. I don't know if it's the best vampire logic. Probably not. I still think like Let the Right One In is a perfect vampire movie with logic as well. But in like the lore of this movie, actually, you never really see them. Do you see them during the day?
No.
The video store's open at night.
Yeah. And they're in the cave during the day.
Yeah, they're sleeping during the day.
And David gets burned by sunlight.
David does when he reaches his hand out when he grabs his shoe, he gets burned by sunlight. That's right.
So they can't be that they're nocturnal. I think why Star and Michael are able to be is because they're not full vampires yet. So they
That's
can
correct.
still go in.
They're still
during the
supposed to
day.
feed. So where this is all going to culminate is that like Max and Lucy are going to come back into the house while all the brawling is happening. And I think this scene is pretty cool because essentially like right away, like they don't pause for concern. Max is going to vamp out.
Yeah.
Like this is the big reveal. He sees that his son, David, it's his son, right?
Yeah, that's what I took it. He says his boys.
It's his boys. Like he sees his son is dead. And this is the reveal. Like once he met her, which I think was right after the time Michael met Star. So I think the initial idea was for Star to feed on Michael. Yeah. I think from the background, and it's very evident, like now if you replay this, how they interact at the store, because it looks like Max didn't want them to be around the store. The dog barks at them when they come in. It kind of all makes sense that they're like somewhat connected. But since he met her and her son is Michael, the idea was to convert them all into vampires. And that's why he didn't want to feed her to Star.
Right.
He wanted to convert her into into a vamp.
They had a whole vampire family.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yep.
Agreed. However, this whole plan is not going to work because Max is going to get killed.
Yeah. I do like this though, because he goes, he's very subtly just goes, I really wanted this to work, but David and your boy misbehaved.
I know. It's
they
actually
needed more discipline, like you said earlier.
Yeah. It's very well done. It's very well done. Also, the Frog Bros, like they were going to kill themselves some vamps.
Yeah. He goes, you never invite a vampire in your... It's really interesting. But the thing that Max did not plan for, the thing that nobody can plan for, because whenever the vampire were around, the one man that knew about the vampire since day one was never present. And that's Grandpa. Where does Grandpa go during the day? I have a theory that this man has been solely hunting vampires.
Yes. Okay. So Grandpa is always around, like, during the day. And at night, he disappears. I think he hunts vamps on the boardwalk at night.
I think he does, too.
That was what my prevailing theory was, which is why he shows up here to put the final stake into the heart of the lead vampire.
Yeah, he does. So, and the way he does it is he actually drives through the house.
Yes.
Crashing the house, but there's stakes on his car.
Yes.
That impale Max.
Yes.
So, really cool reveal. Yeah, Michael's not doing too hot right now.
No, Michael's just a vampire now.
Yeah, he actually is accelerating more than Star. I wonder why.
Maybe men turn faster.
Yeah,
I don't know the rules there.
More blood, like I don't, because Star doesn't really show.
No, because she doesn't at all. Actually, I love that the Frog Bros try to get the kill in, but this,
he's gonna take a shot at it.
Yeah, of course. But this was Grandpa's kill. Grandpa needed this final kill.
Yeah, he needs to show that this is his town, and he's not going to let the vampires win. Yeah. So I think he explodes.
He
like
does.
he it's like kind of brutal, but pretty awesome at the same time. So like Laddie is saved, they're saved, and because they killed the head vampire, they're no longer vamping.
Yep. Everyone is safe. Everyone's happy. And this is when Grandpa's like, the craziest thing about Santa Clara is it's the vampire capital of the world. Am I right? And then the credits roll.
So the reality is they're not going to become vampires, but will they become vampire hunters?
I hope so. Maybe we'll find out in the 2 sequels.
I know at least the one vampire hunter is in there, and that's pretty much it, because I could definitely wait to watch those.
Well, you know what I wanted to wait for, but it's sadly here. It's the end of Retro Reel now. That's it. It's over.
It is so sad.
It really is.
It really is so sad. What are you going to do?
What are you going to do?
There's always next year.
Well, I guess we'll just end this the way we always do and go into our ratings, which I'm giving The Lost Boys an 8 out of 10 because I think this movie is, in the words of Mike G, straight heat. Because honestly, it's kind of one of the best vampire. So when we did episode 3, I had never seen this movie. So I did not put The Lost Boys in my top 10 vampire movies because I hadn't seen it. I would say now, if I were to go back, The Lost Boys would easily be a top 10 vampire movie for me.
Fair. Listening back to that episode when we did that, because I think we've only done 2 vampire movies. I think it was only these 2. No, 3 from Dusk Till Dawn.
Yes.
I need to completely redo that list because there's no way. So I had A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night, which is a movie that you were about.
Yeah.
I liked it. I had it like number my 3rd favorite horror vampire movie. There's no way I would put that movie above From Dusk Till Dawn in a million years.
Yeah.
So I would have to redo that list, and I don't think I had Fright Night in my list either. So I don't think I saw it at that point.
Well, that's the thing. I've seen so many new vampire movies since we did that review and list. That list would be completely different.
Yeah, I want to reconfigure that list next vampire movie we do. I also would like to do a zombie movie list. I think would be pretty cool.
Okay, I would like to do that.
But this movie is probably an 8 out of 10. I have it as a 9 only because it just has a soft spot in my heart.
Fair.
So it's kind of like a Homer Bryan pick, just because of I just guess the nostalgia and the fact that it, this is one of my favorite movies growing up. I really do like this movie. Launched careers, really good vampire story. I had it as my 2nd favorite. It is not better than Let the Right One In, the original, the Swedish movie.
Yep.
That is by far the best vampire movie. I don't think there'll ever be a better. Never say never, but there probably won't be a better vampire movie. People may disagree, but if you actually watch that movie, it is so good. Even the remake is good, but
the original is perfect.
Nowhere near as good as that original movie. So this is just a really one that's near and dear to my heart. I definitely probably overrated it as a 9 because I feel like it probably fits more comfortably into an 8.
That's fair.
But yeah, this is
your opinion.
This is one of my favorite movies, and I just love the horror comedy. I think the characters are so iconic, and I think that's what makes it so special. And more than anything else, and why it fits so comfortably into Retro Reel is the soundtrack. This movie is such a fire soundtrack.
Yeah.
Absolute heat.
I completely agree. I love this movie.
Yeah.
It's great. I'm glad I finally got to see it. It's crazy I've gone this far as a horror podcast guy without seeing The Lost Boys, but
I feel like
loved it.
Yeah, I feel like about that so many movies though, so many iconic movies that people are you have not seen this movie, and I'm I have seen literally August Underground. I have seen Sweet Movie. Yeah. I have seen Men Behind the Sun, but I have not seen The Goonies, or I have not seen The Burbs, and I've not seen all of these popular movies. It happens.
It's because we watch more obscure shit for some reason.
For sure. Especially when it comes to this podcast. I feel if you look at our list, it's so untraditional.
Yeah. But because the traditional, everyone's talked about already.
It's already been tried and true.
Yeah. So we like to do some different things. Obviously, we do some very common ones from time to time too, but we do it all. All right. Necro talk. Off the top of my head, truly, and he's not even a main character because I don't know his name, but the guy in the garlic bathtub is by far, I think, my favorite kill in this entire movie.
Yeah, that's a good one.
The melting and then the whole bathroom exploding with the goo coming up from the thing, I think is such a well done shot and kill. I loved it, but I couldn't even tell you what that guy's name was.
No, I'm with you. So mine was going to be between one of the 2 vampire guys, the initial stake. Just because you knew Edgar Frog was meaning business. But I do agree with you thinking about it. I'm probably going to go with yours as well because it kind of reminded me of Nightmare on Elm Street, where like the blood
shoots up, right?
The blood shoots out of like every fall because like it's all connected with the plumbing.
And that's why I think it's so cool. You see the toilet explode
Yeah.
as I think it's such a well done shot.
And
Like,
I do like that goo stuff. It's like so different.
Yeah.
Because it's almost like you are killing a vampire. They can't be killed by traditional means. Like
Yes.
you said, they never die. They stay alive forever.
Yeah.
Except if you kill them with the holy stuff or stake them through
Yeah.
the heart, that they just expel this unholy goo.
goo. And I almost like it more that they don't have blood in them. That's why they feed on blood, because they don't have it. They
Yeah.
just have grade A diesel.
Grade A soy sauce from those noodles.
Exactly. So, I guess there's only one way to do this. Vampire number 2. You were one of the Goonies. You're one of the boys.
Squad.
You're one of the Lost Boys.
Here we go.
You were a great dresser. Like, your fashion sense was just on point, so 80s. But you made the mistake of fucking with the wrong guys. You fucked with the Frog Bros.
They mean business.
And you fucked with Sam and Mike, and they were gonna get you. They were gonna put you in that tub. They were gonna garlic you up, and they were gonna have you expelling that grade 8 maximum overdrive diesel fuel all over the room. You couldn't handle it. So for that, we're putting you in the Necronomicon.
Perfect.
Yeah. You know what was perfect? Retro Reel.
Dude, I'm like so fucking upset that this is over. I really am. Like I could easily, we're not going to. Obviously we have cool shit planned. I could easily do another month. Like,
100%.
Easily.
I could probably do a year of it.
Yeah, honestly, there's just there's way too much fire. Yeah. But yeah, we can't do that.
No. But you know what we can do? Alexis Texas Chainsaw Massacre Month 2. Do you like chainsaws? Do you like big butts? We got something for you.
Wild, yeah. So what I would say out of the gate about this is because we did this 2 years ago and we just loved the first one and we wanted to kind of like catch up on some of these movies because we felt like we overdid it and all we did was talk about Texas Chainsaws. That was the purpose of it, and it just lined up perfectly with Alexis Texas Chainsaw Massacre Month, which was May. And now we're doing it again next May. We're actually going to perfectly finish out the entire series. The good part is, although the first Texas Chainsaw Massacre 1974 is what we've almost described as like almost a perfect horror movie.
Yeah.
There's actually going to be more quality movies in this upcoming set.
Yes, because I will say the worst of this one is bad, but everything else is actually either close to the top of being the best, or even the new Netflix one, as bad as it is better than the bad movies of the other set.
No, it's true. Because like that movie needs a ton of work.
Yes.
The problem with that movie, for the most part, is just hyper cringe.
Yes.
Like
Yes.
it was like a total like 2022 when it came out. I think it was 2022.
Yeah.
It was like a total of the time movie with the woke shit. But like the kills and the sound effects were pretty solid.
Yeah. There's one nonsensical plot line,
yes.
which we will talk about, that does really hurt the movie.
Are you talking about the girl's death or the bus scene?
I was talking about actually Sally's death.
Yeah, well, that's what I meant.
That's that.
The lady's death.
It's horrible.
It made no
Horrible.
sense.
It was horrible.
It was nonsensical.
But like the first two we're gonna do are really good. The Steven Dorff one is the issue, I would say, of our set of 4.
It's the second worst Texas Chainsaw movie, probably, right?
I would say it's the second worst. I don't think anything is as bad as Next Generation, and even Chainsaw 3D I think is better than the Dwarf.
Definitely. Texas Chainsaw 3D is trash. That's the one that we saw on New Year's, Matt. It's trash. We reviewed it a couple years ago, but I was entertained by it.
Yes. Do your thing, cuz.
Oh God, Jedediah Sawyer. Right? But next week's is going to be fucking fire.
Yes, you can argue next week's is the second best Chainsaw Massacre movie ever made. So obviously we are opening Alexis Texas Chainsaw Massacre Month 2 with the Texas Chainsaw Massacre, the Jessica Biel remake, as we are calling it.
It's a 2003 remake. It's got some. Honestly, it's got Jessica Biel. Eric Balfour is a pretty known actor.
Yeah.
He dies really quick, but He's in it. Mike Vogel's in it. He's a popular actor.
And the girl from the Book of Shadows,
Yeah,
Blair Witch 2.
I'm just gonna shed my mortal coil and calm
She
in with
kind of
Ellie.
talks like that at the beginning of this movie.
She's dressed like a hippie.
Yes. Oh, man, next week's going to be fun. So I guess we are the final podcast signing off, and we will see you next week where we just see how wet can Jessica Biel's shirt get.
Oh, it gets pretty wet because of all that fucking torrential downpouring. They made sure to put her in a white tank top while it poured rain. Like
The entire end of the movie.
It was like was she popular before that? She was on a TV show.
Yeah,
right?
she was popular. Like people knew who she was.
Seventh
but-
Heaven, I think.
Yeah, but now like she's
But
getting there.
the director did that with intent.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so you know where to find us, right? It's www.thefinalpodcast.com. New episodes every Monday for this show. And for the low budget Bogart Shanghai show that we have with Mike G, that's every Friday. That's a good time too. But we're the A show, the main attraction, the hit list, the heat show. You've heard it all. And I'm so excited, Shane, for Alexis Texas Chainsaw Massacre Month 2.
I can't wait.
Starting next week. We'll see you then.
Let's go.